I know that I had left some things out, like the level that Zabuto was at. Zabuto was a special Jonin level, but Naruto is no longer. You remember how I said he was at Genin? He is now at a Chunin level without entering the exams yet. Again, because Minato had made it that Shinzo was going to enter at age 20, so basically match down, and there's a shadow clone that was dispatched from Kurama that was then absorbed by Shinzo, Mento, and Naruto. Naruto only having zero point 0.1, while Mento has zero point 0.8. And finally, while Shinzo has a full 1% of the Nine Tails chakra, and he's only 12 years old now. So now, let's get back into part 2 of what if Naruto was Iron Man. So, in this part 2, Naruto is still working on Mark 2. Get it, part 2, Mark 2? But, it is not done yet. So, as the tuning jam starts, since Minato finally decides to let him in because they trained hard enough. See, Shinzo, keep saying Shinzo, but Shinzo right now is at a Chunin level. He's basically on a point where he's still a Genin and he could defeat people on like who just started becoming a Chunin level. Memento is still a Genin and Naruto is already a full percent Chunin, which means he can take down his brother if he wanted to. So on the day when the Chunin exams start, and it's instead of having it for like some time in Naruto, I'm going to expand that time to 3 years. So Naruto and his brothers and sisters went into, you're gonna call it college. Let's say the ninja college. They already went through school by their parents and middle school and high school. Now they're fully in college. College of Ninja Artists. Basically, it has everything you need to learn with teachers who are real, who basically are special. They teach you dojutsu, kenjutsu, ninjutsu, and the elements. Story, basically like our world now, like history and social studies. So, during this college period, we have Naruto, of course, who has their own dorm room, and he shares his dorm room with Sasuke. And we're gonna get into his brother room parts later, but as Naruto shares his room with Sasuke, Sasuke look at Naruto and be like, "What are you looking at, peasant?" Because the Uchiha clan wasn't massacred just yet, but you see, someone invaded their village and killed Sasuke's, you could say, his cousin, who at the time, since his parents was out with the rest of the village on a family trip, and Sasuke was left behind because he already learned what they're learning on that trip, and his mother was watching him. Itachi was out on a mission at the time because Danzo needed to get some type of herb. Like, this herb was just so rare that you actually need an Anbu to get it, because Anbu are specialized in getting and attempting missions that are a B rank and above. So basically, they can take B ranks, and the more special their Anbu is, the higher the mission. So in his college days, Naruto, on his first year, he had finished Mark 2, and also before even starting Mark 2, he had created a secret bunker underground. But you remember how he defeated the Two Tails, right? No, my bad, not Two Tails, but Three Tails. The place where he defeated the Third Tails is in the Mist Village. It was really poor. They made a shrine about him, and he came back. They agreed, and he agreed. Like, they basically wanted him as their Kage. Well, the Kage, because the Kage there, he basically don't care about them. They're just on the outskirts of his village, so he really don't care. They don't basically give him nothing but just small amounts of money anyway, so they really wouldn't care if he disappeared. So now they all started constructing a base in the Hidden Zone that Naruto constructed them to, and since the village helped out a lot, even the children, by gathering like basic materials while it does do all like some of the hard work. Males will usually men will usually just mine an area out for them. And also Naruto designed like some type of armor for them to wear for safety while they're doing all of this, so they can mine however they want to. They can fly, they can do whatever. They just can't attack. And while this is all happening, Naruto already made attack bots, so basically he can hide whatever he's doing from even a Kage level. So as this was going on for multiple days now, they finished with his base, and he named it Base Zero, and everybody there was basically room for everybody in the Mist Village. So instead of living with rags, they went up to riches. So rags to riches, you could say. The place they built, well, Naruto helped them build, and they helped. Basically, it's their own. It's basically their own land. They're still on like their original village, but they're underneath it, like miles and miles underneath it. So as this is all happening, Naruto is still attending college, but he basically moved in Base Zero and started construction. He taught them a school, basically. They didn't design Iron Man. It wasn't like them to do that. Instead of doing all of that, they just decided to live their life to the fullest. Naruto was creating artificial things. Some of the villagers he had, they all respected him as their own Hokage, like I said earlier. So he looked at some of them. He seen that some of them was old. Some of them was missing arms and limbs. So he recreated them arms and limbs, like I told you about the how he wanted the eyes of the basically the Dojutsu clan. So he designed them and he also finished it on the first year. So he actually has the full version of it. And let's say he encounters someone who has a different dojutsu, he can also basically Jarvis will implant it and study it to the fullest abilities and copy it straight into Naruto. So it's basically a living computer in his eye that also protects his eye from anything. So at this time, yes, Naruto is stronger than Iron Man 1. While doing all of this, Naruto is just so powerful. He's basically still at tuning level, but his first years, as he basically gets A's all on his tests, his brother gets a B, and his sister gets a B as well. See, their interests change because Chinzu is basically a combat person. He really doesn't care since his father had been trained to be combat, and Minto, just like their mother, is basically a medical art. So she kind of focuses in on Tsunadi's ability, a seal that does 100 times her physical strength, and sometimes she really can't control it, so it's sealed on her body, like I said. Well, Naruto, he has multiple options. He can forge, he can design, he can invent. He's basically like that. So Naruto starts downloading real projects on the computer there, since it's high tech and all, and the doors open just like his. You could say his attic. You see, his attic is still his starting position. Jarvis, like the real Jarvis, is still in there in the hard drive, but he can transfer that to other bases he built. So as this is going on, now right before he leaves, Naruto takes Jarvis, the hard drive, implants it into his suit, and he brings it to Base Zero. He makes his own custom room where nobody can enter unless permitted, and put Jarvis there. Jarvis can control the whole base and observe what's going on around them. So if Naruto's not there, Jarvis can help them. So he has his own town of people from the village hidden in the mist. So back to college, Naruto is still studying many things. There's new books he likes to read, and Jarvis just gets it all his knowledge from those books. So now Naruto starts feeling weird that something happening, and then he was right because you see his teachers changed as well. So he don't got the ones that he originally had in the canon. So his tuning exam is not in the canon at all. See, some teachers changed because since it was halted for a year, those teachers are now trying to level up. Just trying to get stronger. since it's kind of everyone has the wheel of flames. Well, it's dying down slowly, but still they have the wheel of flames. So as this going on, they're all quit their job. Well, the Hokage made them quit their job and start getting better. So he has some personal ambu hidden in the, you could say, their college of the ninjas, Shinobi, college of Shinobi, basically. So during this, Naruto's getting A's and everything, while Shinzu's getting B's in combat and F's in almost every other class, except how to use weapons and stuff like that. So yeah, he getting an F basically overall. Minto is basically getting some A's on like medical jutsu and social studies and more like that. Basically arts of medical. And she studies a lot. So yeah, she's kind of like Naruto but weaker, far weaker. So Naruto, he's just doing him, inventing new things, keeping it a secret. So one day, it's finally time to like begin their Genin teams, but they don't know that Naruto is a Shunin right now. So everyone's celebrating that. Yeah, we gonna start doing some missions now since they graduated the first year of college. Well, first year of college. But during this first year of college, the first year was just meant to train them more in the arts and see what they're at, and then start accelerating. So if they're not in that 1 year good, they might have to repeat and keep repeating. So with Shinzo, he gets good luck because he only has A in combat experience. And see, it doesn't matter if you have an A or B in combat experience or F's. They can still improve during your other 2 years. And then just lucky, Okage might, pause it. But during this time, there was no Great Wars, no Shinobi Wars. Like sure, there is a little bit of hatred between the Raikage and the current Hokage in this village, but not now. It isn't because, as you would think, Naruto is stopping that from happening. He's still working on many projects of his, but still being smart at it. So Naruto starts trying to study the other chi energies. Like I told you, he was studying a lot of it. So as this happens, Naruto is finished with Mark 2 because, like I said, there's a secret room that's going to self-destruct when Naruto passes college. He goes to another one because you have to go to 2 colleges to fully pass, 6 years total. So during this, Naruto is making more inventions and stops and sends this all back to base zero he made. And the people there are still working, yeah, enjoying their lives. They get paid. They don't really get paid, but Naruto is making his own money for what he's doing. And during that time, Naruto is becoming more popular in that village since, he's kind of like Iron Man. And so, since Naruto's Mark 2 is completely done, he basically makes sure that his village is advanced some more, and some more, and some more. So, it's time to pick their teams. So, the current Hokage starts picking their teams. He goes through the grades. He see how bad Shinzo's grade is. But, like I said, it's not about if you got A's and B's. It just depends on what the team needs. So, you're going to go with Team 6, which is Shinzo for combat, Mental for medical jutsu, and it's going to be Sakura, another medical ninjutsu person, but instead she got a B in that, so she didn't really want to stay focused to that stuff there. So she started fully concentrating in another jutsu art, which is basically, as you know, since Sakura is kind of useless, she started studying some more and found a hidden bloodline in her. And that bloodline jutsu was not that superior to, you could say, the Yellow Flash, as he only teleports, but and uses seals and stuff like that. Her main ability is far superior. So basically, she can call upon spirits. You're right, spirits. Basically, she can summon them, like the wind spirit, the fire spirit, and the water spirit. Basically, the 5 elements in the elemental nation, since they're all named after one element. She has to go there and experience pain and sweat to experiment, but since she's in the land of fire, she learns a weak version of the fire. She has to experience more. Basically get more experience or XP to fully level herself up. So during this, she thinks about it and sees that she's pretty strong. So this team is only composed of 4 people. And the 5th person finally comes in. You always need a sub defender. So it's basically going to be Rock Lee. That's right. He's stronger than when he was in canon. Instead of starting from the beginning, he's at a tuning level because you can say he worked 50 times harder than anything thanks to Naruto since he made a custom weight. Like the more you lift that weight and run faster with that weight, it's gonna increase. Even my guy was stunned at how that weight increased to him. Instead of being 1 ton, like 1,000 kilos, it immediately turned to 2 tons. The boy could not move, you could say. And then a few days later, you could say a week later, him and Rock Lee fully managed to go up to 10 tons. They're 50 times stronger. So right now, Might Lee, well, Might Guy, you could say he's already a special Jonin level. And Rock Lee is already at the half level of Chunis, which means he can't take on people lower and a little bit higher than, but not that far. So as we cut to them going to the Forest of Death, well, doing tests and then go to the Forest of Death, none of them was scared like they was in canon. Like none of them really thought about it since it was college. You understand? They're trying to test you to see if you actually do it or not. So they managed to pass all tests, and finally the 10th test came, and they got that one right as well. Cause I ain't gonna make it like canon. The 11th test was the final test of the test. It was a major test, you could say, and all they had to do was pick right or wrong. Cause in the Show Me world there are many corrupt ninjas. So during this point of time, they passed the 11th, and the 12th one was the hardest for them. They couldn't decide either, basically, like what chakra nature should they do or how they use it. It troubled them most because people with bad social studies and basically had like some F's, it went into that degree. So if you had an F in that class, you might not pass. But you know how the Kage is. He needs to make sure that the next shinobi, the next generation, is going to be strong and surpass the first one. So as this happens, they pass finally because only like you could say like 20 people had quit it because they got it wrong. So they went back to the first year and studying some more, and finally they got some better grades. The grades went up. So during this time, they passed. So our current team passed, and Naruto was on team 7 with Sasuke, and you can also say he kind of got a less team since they all wasn't appearing. It was too strong right now. So he had halted his team from deploying since team 7 was under, you could say, Kakashi sometimes because team split into 2. Team 7, so it would be team 6. No, let's do this. Team 7, Kakashi, and you could say Obito. Because the Masked Man was not Obito like in canon. It was a different person. You could say it was a nameless shinobi, and he was basically at special joining level. So right below Kage, that's why he put up a struggle, especially since he stole his Sharingan. But after that event, Naruto was basically under the orders of Obito, and also Rin was still alive since Obito wasn't in the clutches of Madara. So they trained a lot, and the people on Obito's side was Naruto, Sasuke, and I want to come up with the name later. But no, it was 10-10 on Obito's team as well. And on Kakashi's team, he had one medic, and he had another one for combat, for sub combat jutsu. So it was kind of like, you could say, let me think. He had a civilian on his team. So the civilian, like some civilians, they had awakened since the world like was engulfed in more chakra. And just doing around orbit. So every 100 centuries, he over here like the world gets more chakra from space, like shoo. So it's basically good and evil clashing one more time to get more chakra down to Earth. So as this happens, some villagers awaken more, and weakened villagers still got stronger, but not that strong. So they still also went to the same college, because there's different professions you could use. So during this time, yeah, some of their teammates were civilians and some of them wasn't. So they're all nameless, so I really couldn't tell you. But this one in Kakashi's team was named, we're going to say Shiku. Kind of like Shinzo, but Shiku. Because it's a girl and she focuses in sub. So basically, she's a defender. She's good in taijutsu, denjutsu, and she has her own dojutsu. And we could say it's called Fallen Kingdom. Whenever this is activated, it basically just implies gravity, like to the extent of how long she can control it. So the gravity is being agitated some more, and she could say times 10, times 20, times 30, times 50, but she has to go through that physical trauma, like the Sharingan. So during that time, one last villain showed up, and that was, you could just say, a small kid. He was braggy like Sasuke. He admired Sasuke, and he was kind of like the brother of Sasuke, but not Itachi. So that's Team 7, and as they completed the test on first try, the Kakashi told him about the Death Forest because he's also a teacher, so that's why it split into two. So as the team went on, they got a Earth Scroll this time, and they was traveling to find a Heaven Scroll. So Naruto was the main person in the team, and everybody thought he was weak, so he had a good plan always, since he has A's and everything. But not everything, like some Medjutsu, he has B and stuff like that. So Naruto is immediately the leader, since it wasn't Obito, since Obito was the leader of the whole Team 7, but wasn't. He was just the teacher. So as it was going on, they all followed Naruto, and they was wondering where he's going. Naruto was going to like the middle area, as he was creating a little, not using any of his technology yet, but he kind of has some on, like not that much where it would actually choose, but it's just a hidden ring on his finger that like can control some chakra around him, basically absorbing chakra from nature to provide his arc reactor. So they all hide, and he says the best idea is to hide because some people might try to run away when they're being attacked, and if they're too injured enough, they'll hide somewhere. So if you hide in the middle of the forest, you will always see someone coming. And just like that, they seen two teams chasing each other. Like one who had a kunai in his back, and their teammates was carried on his shoulder, and then one of them stayed behind and passed the scroll on to them. And just like that, it was an Earth scroll, so they know it wasn't them. As the other teams went to the lighter parts of the forest, because there's three rings of the forest. The deeper you are, you're in the devil zone of the forest, which had animals as well, so you have to be careful of that. And then they seen another team, not the team behind the first team. They both vanished. But the second team was being chased by a leopard, like the one Shinzo tamed, but it was stronger. It was basically at a Chunin level. So during this time, Naruto waited. He said, "Don't move." And Sasuke said, "Why? I don't have to listen to you, peasant." And so did the nameless villager. So Shinto, read that down real quick. So Shinso had told him, look, and just like that, two lepers came out. So if Sasuke would have jumped out with the nameless villager, whose strength lies in sub-jutsus, then they would have been in real trouble. Because that was a Chunin level leopard, and the higher ranked the animal is, the stronger it is, and so it's his senses and chakra. The leopard released a water dragon, which you could say water viper. He released a water viper from his mouth without doing any hand seals because it all happens in their brain. Naruto was also studying them at the time since he has lions. His pets back at Zero, the compound Zero, which is base Zero, was basically helping out with the village. It was peaceful and not harming. They were just protecting it with the robots that Naruto built to protect the village as well. So as this was happening, Naruto was basically studying and putting it into research. So right at the right time, the team that had the Heaven Scroll threw two kunais with chakra enhanced and made him fly around the tree, which caught one of the legs of the leopard of a tuning level. The other one, seeing that its mate, like they was both female and a couple basically. So the female got caught on her leg, so she can't really move. So, and then as they sacrificed that female leopard, so the male will leave them alone, as he showed that they're smart enough to know that they're basically caught red-handed. So that civilian talks to the leopard saying that, hey, if you leave us alone, she won't die. But if you try anything funny, we will make sure that you will never stay alive again. You'll become extinct. As the leopard understood this, and he backed off a little. And then that civilian let go of the rope and kicked the female straight into the male and sent them flying. So Naruto sneakily went up to them and knocked them out and put them higher in the tree so the leopards can't really see them no more or feel or see their chakra. So then he stole the Heaven Scroll and they was on their way. Just like that. First person ever get their scroll. As they opened it, they teleported straight to where their exams ended at. The first team arrived, so they had around 100 points in total. And see, to really pass the exam, you must have a lot of points. They got that many. Well, normally if you success, you only have 50 points. But since they stealthily got it, they added another 50 to their points, which made them 100, which gave them an A+ for their being observant and working as a team, like a literal team that like supposed to actually manage to do it. So now during this, they all head back, and then more teams started to show up with like 50, 40, 30, and some of them had even 20. But the last team that came out the forest was at 10. Luckily, some of them did die. Like, some civilians did die, but was brought back to life by Tsunade because he said they need all teams hands on deck because some war is going to start appearing in the future. Since the Hokage started getting some threats, things like that, that proved useless to him. But as a former Hokage, and also participating in the second or third Great Shinobi War, he knew that someone was planning. And then, while they was leaving, Naruto thought that was going to be a good idea to go into the alleyway since someone was following them. Naruto knew that from the very beginning. And then, as you thought, Sasuke broke out of the group and started going other direction into a more wider area that's going to benefit him, he thought. As soon as Orochimaru, well, basically not Orochimaru, but Orochimaru showed up, Sasuke was outnumbered 20-1. You must be asking, like, why would Orochimaru show like the sound? Well, that's because since the Hokage's defenses got literally buffed up to like maximum, but not maximum because he would have been at Orochimaru's neck. But since they was changing shifts lately, so he took the opportunity to sneak in right when they turned their back, let their guards down, and basically snuck in as a snake. The rest of the team like basically knocked them out and made them forget their memories of how they seen each other and put them back on guard duty. So they swapped the guards for the sound team. So as soon as the shift was over, they would swap back to the original people. So some sounds stayed behind and just play it as a guard, make sure their job was right. So during this time, Orochimaru was having an advantage. Sasuke was pretty mad, and then Orochimaru had showed him true power comes from not from within, but from artificial. He promised Sasuke two things. But then you see, since some of Naruto teammates already went home, since they said, "Well, if that's diet, that's gonna be on Sasuke." So that person with Sasuke had arrived just in time, just to get jumped by 20. So now it was 2 to 20. And then, as Naruto was just studying, using his technology to find Sasuke, he basically got out in a hurry because he felt large chakra signatures from Sasuke's fireball since he'd been around Sasuke for some time. Then he immediately tried finding Sasuke. It was somewhere around this alleyway, he thought. You must be wondering, like, how did he go back to his house? Well, it's because his house was in that alleyway, but no one really liked going there, especially since it was food night and movie night for real. So, if it's a food night, it's always going to be a movie night. So, during this time, Naruto found them since he felt Sasuke's, you could say, Phoenix Fireball. And Sasuke was looking pretty beat up, basically, from this happening. So Naruto rushed in and saved him just in time because Orochimaru is basically over here finna put a curse seal. So Naruto threw one of his own custom-made kunai straight to his back, basically penalizing him, injecting venom into his body. Orochimaru felt the venom going through his veins. He felt like he got stronger, but at the same time he was getting weaker. So you could say that there was imbalance. And then Orochimaru turned around and signaled at the sound to come kill him. But the sound was already eliminated. Only 5 of them remained. They finally broke out of the bandages Naruto had them in earlier. Sasuke released that Phoenix Jutsu again just 2 minutes ago. And then now all of a sudden Orochimaru was looking pretty stunned that this kid was eliminating Chunin level, like halfway Chunin level sound 4, since he basically summoned them. So instead of being sound 4, it started turning to sound 20, sound 30. He eliminated 30, and only 5 remained. So during this, Orochimaru was stunned, and he had no choice but to use this jutsu. He fought Naruto, and Naruto was being pushed back because he didn't receive this ammo just yet. And when I mean by ammo, he didn't waste his upgraded paper bombs he made earlier. So he had brought out something instead of a paper bomb, a talisman. And Orochimaru immediately knew what that was. A talisman you have, eh? Said Orochimaru. What is it going to do? Nothing. That technology, well, you could say the power for a talisman was erased back then. It belonged to Sage of Six Paths. That was his very special ability. And it disappeared when Indra, the reincarnation of Indra, had basically Madara and Hiroshima started fighting. So during this time, sorry, my cat had knocked down some things real quick. But during this time, he was basically just chilling. He pulled out that talisman, showed no fear, and he said, "Orochimaru, do you know what this is?" Orochimaru looked a bit closer, with his snake eyes fully revealing who he is basically. And while doing this, he noticed what that talisman was. The talisman of immortality. He really wanted that. And then he had to make a deal with the same person who was holding it. He sensed that there's no way he would be able to beat him, even though he's a special Jonin. He kept getting thoughts that he couldn't beat him. But he said, I'll make a deal with you, brat. If you give me that, I can give you anything. And then Naruto said, really, anything. I want you to answer my 5 questions. I'll give it to you on my 6th question, but after that, you must get out. Naruto asks his first question. Why do you come after Sasuke? You could have attacked us while we was in the force of death. And Orochimaru said, because the Hokage's security was too high, he didn't want to alert the Hokage, and then his whole plan would be fruitless. He really wanted some fruit, he could say. So during this, Naruto understood why, and then my second question, Orochimaru, why did you leave Konoha and become a rogue shinobi? So during this, Orochimaru thought back and he said, because do you know how fun it is to kill? All I wanted was to be immortal. I researched that talisman over and over, thinking I could recreate it. I only have a few clues of it, but I know how to activate it now. And then Orochimaru said, boy, since you have that talisman, why didn't you use it? And then Naruto said, I don't need it because I don't want to be immortal. There's other ways to become immortal. Orochimaru said, how? When that is the only thing that is immortal. And then Naruto said, hey, I could have just transferred my consciousness into a shadow clone and kept doing that over and over and over. Or, second option is I can create a perfect clone of my DNA, basically a shadow clone again, and then create 5 shadow clones and merge them together, keeping them permanent. Or 6, sealing my soul or splitting my soul into multiple pieces, like the Nine Tail, like how you still beat you into people. Orochimaru was a little confused. Why didn't I think of that? Maybe you're right, kid. And Orochimaru said, since you told me that, I'll give you something as well. Orochimaru then turned back to his human form, because he was half snake in this moment. He pulled out a rock. Do you know what this is, kid? And Naruto immediately shook no. He said, this right here is mithril. Basically, is an extremely strong metal. Stronger than titanium by 30 times. Sorry for the interruption. My sister ran into this room. But during this time, Orochimaru explained that it was mithril, a metal, metallic ore that can be rarely mined. That's why you need ambush for it, to search for it. And I have 5,000 of them. Would you like that for a fair trade? And Naruto said, that really is a good trade. But can you also offer in something else since you only have 5,000? Orochimaru said, yes. Well, you are really smart. And then he had showed him a way of creating mithril. So on top of that, a way to create mithril that every village wanted the most, Orochimaru figured it out. And if you put that into money, the mithril will most likely become $10 trillion in money. And then the way to make mithril will be beyond that. It will be sextillions. Well, since they don't really have that much money going around, so it'll only be about like 4 trillion or something like that. So he traded that, and Naruto also gave him one more tip saying that if that doesn't work, have you ever tried creating your own village? That way you can create other scientists, since you like having so many rebirths or immortality. And Orochimaru said, and he decided and he left. See, with Sasuke, he said, why didn't we just team together and kill him? And Naruto said, first, you would have failed miserably. Didn't you see him? Why he turned to a snake? Sorry about that. That's some distractions from my sister again. But why didn't you kill him? Sasuke said, and then Naruto said, even if we all came together, you two would have died on the spot while I would have survived. And Sasuke said, why? He said, because see these in my pockets? That talisman that I just gave him was immortality. So which means if he figures out a way to activate it, he will become immortal. But there's another thing in there. If he ever does something really horrible to this village, I have the key to make it completely blow up, which means since he became immortal, his cells will rapidly decrease, like basically becoming dead-like, and completely die, but his soul will still be there. So I gave him multiple ways of doing that. So during that time, Sasuke understood why. But then the person that who likes Sasuke, you can say Sasuke, the villager, who thinks Sasuke good and a hero, attacked Naruto. Naruto ate that punch, basically just standing still, as Naruto didn't do nothing back. He hit again and again, and Sasuke really did see his true meaning of strength. Again, and didn't even hurt him. There's no scratch. Then he realized Naruto's tuning level, and as you see, a Jonin is above, while special Jonin is above that. So if he would attack the special Jonin, Naruto would have had a real 50% chance of everything, while they only had 20. So it really would be him. Would be him standing on top of us. Our dead bodies would have been gone a long time ago. And then Naruto said, correct. And Sasuke said out loud. And then Naruto said, do you stop punching me now? And the villagers stopped punching Naruto with a tired expression, since Naruto faced any change, or he gain any scratch or damage. Not even bleeding. Nothing happened to Naruto, because Naruto had a force field on him. When you reach Chunin level, you kind of make your own force field if you're special enough. So during this time, Naruto what Orochimaru was going to do to Sasuke. Since you're the last Uchiha, other than Itachi, what do you think would have happened? And then Sasuke got really angry and said, what are you talking about my brother for? He killed our whole clan. Well, he didn't kill his whole clan, but since Itachi disappeared, he thinks that he killed his clan. Even though Sasuke was there, he really wasn't paying attention. Itachi was out on a mission for Danzo for, gathering ore, like mithril. But the real goal for Itachi was basically just collecting information on another village. The village hidden in the ice. A new village emerged like 2 years ago. When everyone, just gonna say 2 years ago. I mean, it was really old, so basically, people who had more dojutsus was in there. They also had their own college and attended. So, Danzo was just making sure that there was nobody who thought they had more power than anybody else. Still respecting Konoha and stuff like that. He still had Naruto's stuff trying to be developed by his own people, and they still couldn't crack his code. So, Danzo will have to pay a visit to Naruto one more time. Or you could say more times than that. So during that time, Sasuke understood why his brother was gone. He said, I have the fire report right here. I stole it from my father, so please be careful with it. During that time, Sasuke read the report. Danzo sent Itachi on a mission that would take 48 hours to get back. And not just 48 hours. That's if he didn't have, basically have a full chakra reserves. Because, tree walking, you have to strengthen your bones and body just to launch that far. But since that would do it, you have to have a large amount of chakra. So, the report was still lying, but then Sasuke had to do the math. The Hokage always hides information right there, which means it was 48 days that Itachi would have been able to return with his group of Anbu. So then Sasuke figured out who it really was. If Itachi was sent away, that means it had to be another Uchiha that he seen with a, you could say, greenish eye Sharingan. Sasuke had to basically think about what that eye was. He went through all history and never found a green Sharingan. There was only one place that had one, the college. So, as this talk ended and they parted ways, Sasuke truly admiring what Naruto thought. So he kept thinking to himself. I mean, as the rest of his clan, or his family members that was protecting him, was still alive, but in a critical condition. They lost their, only two people lost their eyes, which means that's four eyes lost in total, and one of them only had one eye because the eye was destroyed. I'm trying to get distracted. So, another eye that didn't get stolen was not a Sharingan. So, it didn't awaken the Sharingan ability, only in one eye. That was taken and destroyed. So, Sasuke believed that happened, and let's get back to Naruto. Naruto headed back to his fake, you could say, his fake room, and went below during a hidden mechanism. Since Sasuke went to the library in the college. So during this time, Shinzo's team, Team 6, got sent on another mission. They was gonna go investigate the disappearance of the people hidden in the mist and the bridge breaker or bridge maker. As you know that I didn't explain why their team didn't go on a mission is because Team 7 already went on that mission, and everybody seen Naruto again because they recognized him. He has a trident made out completely out of gold. He went to him and fed their team well, and Naruto told them about his secret plan and gave them stuff to protect himself with. Well, basically protect his people with now. So since that happened, Team 7 already completed their mission, and the Great Bridge between Konoha was named the Great Naruto. No, you can say, let me change that. It was made, Arn Man's. No, he's going to name it the Great Naruto Bridge, like in canon. So, a week after that, Team 6 was sent out to investigate the disappearance because Konoha was no longer making money from that one small, actually, area. So, since they wasn't making that much anymore, also, the village hidden in the mist was managed by the Raikage, so they was still making a little bit profit from it, but not that much. And returning the tax, not that much either. So during that time, nobody really cared. So as the time began and shortened over the years, Team 6 arrived in 2 days. They found the village not completely deserted, but deserted. There was no attacks, signs, there was no people putting genjutsu or ninjutsus. There was people there, sure, it was like the villagers undercover. They not Kakashi, but Shinzo asked the villagers what happened here, and they said nothing. And he thought they was under a dojutsu, so he punched one of the villagers to see if he would get out the dojutsu. The villager hit him in the head with his hoe, you could say, because he's a farmer, of course. And Shinzo got mad. And then his captain, my guy, said, "Stop, Shinzo. Don't you see that he's not in dojutsu? What made you think he was in dojutsu?" His answer, there has to be something going on here. And he didn't even let the villager finish, the villager said. I didn't even finish my sentence. The rest of the villagers moved with the person who made the bridge. They went out of town because family reasons. And he said that. He said, "Don't make that statue angry, or else you might trigger destruction for us all. Since the Raikage sent a beast so strong and sealed it in that statue." And then they also asked, "Where's the third-tailed beast? We heard reports of a third tail being here. Where do you think it is?" "It's there, sealed inside of that. But something's wrong with it. It's more corrupt than before. Only thing I remember was that my parents said, my grandparents who was still alive at the time, said that the Rokage injected some type of fluid into him that made him grow another tail. It wasn't a complete tail until it was around for 20 years. So our time is almost up here. As it cannot see, all senses are blocked, but it only has one sense, taste. And the Rokage personally came here to steal all our money left. So the rest of our villagers moved away. I'm the only my people, like 5 of us, are still here. We're farming food for food, and we need a lot of it. Actually, seeing rows on rows, acres of land that has crops that needs to be mined. Potatoes, carrots. We all grow that. Thanks to the mist. As Shinzo now regretted his mistake, since he's pretty much a hothead. And then Mento kind of healed the villager from a little scar that appeared on his face from Shinzo using the kunai. Now then, we'll be on our way. My guy left that village and reported to the Kage since it was a D rank mission. Kind of more like, no, let's make it an F rank mission. They stayed there for 5 days and left since they need to regroup their strength, because 2 days that kind of drained a lot of their chakra. Even for my guy, because my guy is just a taijutsu user, which means he can't really use ninjutsu. So he was perfectly, he can go, but it'll take another day. That's why he rested, because they had so much food. They had too much overflowing. So they fed and they ate, and then they left. After getting some sleep to get that food off their bellies. During that time, everything was going perfectly well, and returned to their village and reported to Minato that they completed the mission, and it was indeed an F-rank mission. Nothing happened. The villagers moved away because of the Raikage. And Minato said, "Oh, that guy again. Can he just go over and go to sleep for once?" Said Minato in his head. And during this time as well, he paid Team 6 for their efforts and talked to Shinzu about hitting villagers. Even if they're in a dojutsu, there's another way to do it. He said, "You remember that jutsu I taught you when you was 5? Jutsu of pain. It makes the brain experience that sensation of pain, but it actually just takes, basically turning you into a baby and taking their favorite item or favorite thing from them. So doing this causes a great pain." And then he remembered that when he touched the villager with the kunai, he did it wrong. He forgot to put his pinky on the side part, which caused it to actually cut him, cause pain. Either way, it really wouldn't have to did anything. So during this time, Naruto started being neglected because he had A's, and Shinzo and Mento was getting some B's in some areas. So he wasn't really being hated that much. But from his villagers, since Shinzo told them the truth that Naruto holds the soul of the Nine Tails from what he knows, and then Mento holds the chakra, so they're the true heroes. And Jiraiya arrives from their training experience, and finally does what he was supposed to do. So guys, I have to be right back. I need some water for my throat. Sorry guys, I'm back. So as I was saying, we finished this, and he was being hated because Shinzo had told them that Naruto was a clone soul, but he doesn't know it was a clone. So Naruto starts being hated slowly by slowly. And then one of the council, the civilian council, had thought of a plan to basically force Naruto out of the village. They was going to frame him from something he didn't do. Since they had to wait, because if you do anything to a Chunin, well, the Chunin, basically the College of Ninjutsu, you could get caught and you could be executed, since it was an S-rank secret, and if it got exposed, whoever exposed it would be in trouble. But since it was the Hokage's son, the oldest son, he thought that, yeah, he wanted to get executed. So during that time, they came up with the perfect plan. They were going to catch Naruto doing a good deed by framing to be a person in need of help and give Naruto something to cut himself with. Basically, trying to injure the villager. And it would be called all in the eyes of an Anbu. His Anbu despised Naruto since his father and mother died in the battle against the Nine Tails. So there were some people who still remembered that Naruto was still the holder of the Nine Tails soul. So it's only the, even though they knew the Nine Tails was being controlled, but still they still hated Naruto. So Naruto started seeing evil grins on their faces when some of his stuff went missing, as they thought to themselves that it was a bad timing. So during this as well, they discovered that even if they did anything to him, they might still be in trouble. So they fixed that. And the only thing they had to do was make him get in trouble. Naruto's stuff disappeared, and so did Naruto. Naruto's will replace this. They will basically steal Naruto's stuff and replace it with Minato's stolen work from the Hokage office. And Naruto's stolen things would not be anything important. It would just be like his homework. And Minato will see to that, and he's seen people doing it, so Minato got angry and started neglecting Naruto. Because that was supposed to be S rank stuff. So now the villagers know that not only do that the village is becoming poor because of no money income, because some of the villagers were pretty lazy, and the Kage didn't have the guts to actually tell his villagers to get back to work. Some of them were working, but it was still a small current. And the closest village to Rakage is paying them like $1,200 a week. If they got anything good, if he see one thing wrong with it, he would pay them $5, which is not much to go around since most of their items were $5 and up, depending on the shop you go to. So Naruto will finally, after a good day of doing all his homework that he made copies of, because you always need a copy of your work, he finally done with all 100 sheets of paper and turned it in. And while doing that, he finally realized that 2 years passed. It went by in a blast. Shinzu was now 14 years old. And Minto was no longer 10, but 12 years old. And Naruto was no longer 7 years old, he was 9 years old. Making him pretty confident in his abilities since he's the youngest. So, while doing all of this, Kushina, or Minato's wife, started seeing Naruto break things on accident. Like, she would force him since she hated Naruto from day one. You want to know why she hated Naruto from day one, you might ask. That's because Naruto broke her favorite vase, and she really didn't like Naruto because, I guess, from the pain of pushing Naruto out of her stomach, you could say, out of her womb. So while doing this, she usually take her anger out on Naruto, which make Kushina the last line standing. So Jiraiya was a wholehearted person, came to the village after his 3-year mission, since it was the day he was born. First year where he showed up to stop the Nine Tails as well. Second year would be the first year when Naruto went into the ninjutsu college. And third year is now happening. So it's the second year of college. So, as it happens, Jiraiya becomes the principal of the school, since the school is managed by the co-principal. So, with this happening, Jiraiya was also teaching his students through the last half year of the third year. Naruto was graduating, top of the class, and he even knew the principal himself. The principal would start training him a lot more, and while those all happening, he was still becoming more popular. popular and popular and popular. Sorry, I'll be right back. Sorry about that. I returned. My sister needed some help downstairs. So while this was happening, Naruto started learning more about his principal, and principal finally told his family since it was the first day he arrived. He had principal duties to take care of. He had basically, told his parents about the prophecy, like he did in the first day, where like before Naruto was born, like when Kushina was pregnant with the triplets. So while this was all happening, Jiraiya told them that one of their parents, well, basically not parents, but sons and daughters, might become the prophecy. There's two prophecies that was being told now. First prophecy is that the oldest will be, like, two of the oldest will become the one that saves the village, while the second one will be the one that advances humanity's options to go further in the story of world, become a researcher or higher. He will breeze into the unknown. That prophecy. So he had family dinner and he left to attend to principal duties since it was be the last year. He had to go to the other. Basically, he owns two schools. Schools of that right now they attended to was the lower school for tuning level. And now it was time for joining level. Joining level will be taken out like way further. So it was more for like civilians other than the lower one, but for Shinobi the most. So everyone's equal in this. As everybody started hating Naruto even more since Kushina started showing it in public now. And Minato started showing it more as more of his stuff started disappearing. He started focusing truly on them. And whenever Naruto had a plan or something for him to attend that school, it would be cancelled. So Naruto started distancing himself from his own family. And of course, Naruto had plenty of haters. That he always got A's, even though he doesn't study. So Naruto went to base zero on his weekend, or you could say his month off, you could say. So during his month off, he would go to base zero and celebrate everything that was going on there. Since base zero was, important to him. And this is where one of his plans was going pretty perfectly. Mark 2 needed some upgrades, so that's what was happening during these 3 years. Naruto was visiting with Mark 1. It was upgraded more perfectly than Mark 2, but Mark 2 was finally completely done. It needed the software updates and other things. Mark 1 was again sealed into glass and shown as a display case. And then he asked Jarvis, what's next on my to-do list? As Jarvis went back to life in Mark 2 and Naruto's private quarters, it said you have 3 things left on the list, sir. And then it said, A, your space project for a satellite, you called it. And your second project, which was for exploration. And your third project, the most important one, you marked with 2 stars instead of 1. You said that you needed more knowledge, so you was going to go travel around the world to get more knowledge, since you had got involved with the Sage of Six Paths and chakra. So, well, isn't total like that then? You said you needed to learn chakra, and you got all of your knowledge from the Sage of Six Paths, so you knew everything about him in the books, and you didn't really care about the Sage of Six Paths like that. So during this, Naruto, you remember the machine he invented to study the chakra? It wasn't studying the chakra, it was absorbing other chakra and other natures. So he finally brought it out from where it was flying at, currently, over their house. He brought it down to base zero. Of course, if you notice that I said camouflage, I mean really good camouflage, like S rank camouflage, or you could say A, B rank camouflage. So you can see if you really try to, if you was an S rank or a B rank. So while doing this, it landed and he got the knowledge he needed, and it confirmed it. There was other chakras. Sure, there was other one like Chi and more and more and more. The list goes on. It was all influencing the chakra. Chakra was scared. Chakra was really scared of the void energy, the strongest. Even Chi was in fear of light and darkness. Darkness was scared of the void. Even though darkness was born in the void, it was still scared of the void. So was light. Light was scared the most. But together, they created the void. The Big Bang, you say. So, Naruto got, like, his batteries of each chakra was full. 100. So, Naruto just thought, I think I know what I'm going to do. He started basically messing with his body. He had new chakras in his body now. As he went over his YouTubes, nothing really changed that much. He upgraded the arc reactor. The arc reactor upgrade was just so much better. He started getting to work on Mark 3. But you see, Mark 3 was gonna take a year to fully make because he's making it small. And if I say it's really small, I'm talking about the size of an ant. And during those 3 years, he was also training with his ant. His ant was gathering the most metals, and the vault that was in Big Zero hold Orochimaru's gifts that he gave Naruto. So during this, let's tune back in with Orochimaru. Orochimaru, he basically became immortal. True. But since Naruto was being neglected, he threw away the only opportunity to destroy Orochimaru for what he was doing because he understood what Orochimaru did, which is funny. Now that you think about it, since he's now being hated by both his parents and he's lonely, unless with his villagers. So Naruto was working his way up. He was basically loved by his own contract summons, the ants. They really loved him. And Naruto even helped them with a lot of things. Helping him do so much in so little time. Naruto became proficient in runes, which the ants used in combat and in other daily necessities. Now Naruto was really getting powerful. He was fully a Chunin, which means he could take on any Chunin right now, any day of the week. And as Naruto was finishing, because while he was sleeping, the day he asked Jarvis what was on his to-do list, Jarvis finished making the satellite, a full version of satellite. And today was the day that he was going to launch it into space, to study space and the planets, other planets, and also the most important one, Earth. As it was happening, the village in basically Zero was so strong that even they became a little bit technologically advanced. And Naruto thought he announced to his whole village that one day there's going to be a few of you that's going to go outside of this planet range and into space. They all cheered since they know what he was planning. Their daily activities was boosted. The money that they were sharing amongst each other was granted. And the food supplies was all being given to them by the farm that was on the top side. And they was all blessed with chakra. Naruto machines that gaining so much chakra was just injecting them. So let's say their child was born with no chakra, or detected with no chakra. They would be put into emergency situation, a stasis. Since Naruto already invented the sauropod, which is also another name for cryopod. They're being frozen. And while they're being frozen in a jelly-like state, Naruto kept making upgrades for it. So instead of being frozen, you'd be like a jelly substance that stops time within the gel. So the parents was worried, but Naruto showed them that it's not that good to worry. So one day passed and the chakra in that kid was reignited. Boom. He finally had chakra, so he wouldn't die if the seal was removed. And the ones that was a better case, they needed even more chakra, which was monster's chakra. Like when I say monster chakra, I ain't meaning like a monster's chakra. I mean they need a monster amount of chakra, like piles and piles of chakra. So as this was happening, they all woke up and they was all happy, and they all truly just truly deeply loved Naruto. So during this time, Naruto's satellite launched. He even let a villager do it. Normally, if the Hokage had something to do, he would never let a villager do it. So he was all happy for this. They all had equal rights, the civil rights. All of them did. As becoming village was becoming more modern and modern and modern. Nobody really even had nothing to do. They had jobs, sure, like mining. They even had a good source of mining income. They traded with other villages, especially with the Raikage. They said that they've been stealing some metals when actually they were just creating it. And Naruto had another project he came up with. He needed more energy. And of course, the energy they had right now was kind of running out from the excitement. And also, mainly because the satellite was launched, absorbed a lot of chakra. So I was absorbing a lot of chakra. Naruto was just, him. So as this was all happening, Naruto was just amazed what the result was when the satellite was launched into space. They collected so much information. And Naruto started working on nuclear energy, way stronger. And of course, once he figured out the life effects, he immediately contained it and told the villagers never to enter Sector B, since the village was split into 4 parts. Sector B was the top side, and also the riches and everything. But since he contained it, they believed him. He even showed them what happens if you go in there. The radiation was just so powerful and leaked out that even chakra was being influenced. It died immediately, really. It was becoming mutated. And now shut the project down and focus on safety of it. He finally found the right material to basically contain it. And while it was being contained, then it became safe for everyone. Naruto started, after all his projects was done, Sharingan and Bakugan mutated together, since he was also upgrading his eyes, his armor. And he finally found the paint color for his armor this time. Instead of having just a silver color armor, he found Hot Rod Red and a golden yellow. And you can say that his small ant armor was 1% done. It can expand really big, so pretty sure, as you all know, nanotech. He was inventing nanotech. He invented the safe armor, and that is all he was doing, just increasing it. But it's time to go into the Chunin, since they was already in the Genin college. It was time for that level. So we'll continue on part 3, basically. Enjoy.